when we're doing graphing, there are some things that you need to remember, and then I'm going to try to do a couple of examples. So when we're graphing lines, we are used to seeing y equals mx plus b. This is what we call our slope-intercept form, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. And y-intercepts are always written 0 and then the number. The sign that is in front of b will go with the b value in your ordered pair. Since I mentioned ordered pairs, you need to remember ordered pairs are always written x, y. So I could give you a point and ask you if it's part of a line. You may also see what we call standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. And you can always solve that to get into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to try to go through a couple of examples, and if you have questions, of course, you can always message me. So I want to start with something that is just pretty basic. If I give you the equation of a line, let's say it's 4x plus 8y equals negative 8. And I ask you to graph the line. So you're going to need to know what the x and y intercept is. Now, remember that ordered pairs are x, y. So if you're looking for an x-intercept, that means it is falling on this x-axis. So this is our x-axis. So that means that your y should be 0. So we're going to start there. So that means I'm going to plug 0 in for y. So I have 4x plus 8 times 0 equals negative 8. So that gives me 4x equals negative 8. And then when you solve for x, you're going to divide by 4 on each side and you get negative 2. This ordered pair is negative 2, 0. So then you're going to put a point at negative 2, 0. And then we need to find our y-intercept. So your y-intercept is going to fall on this y-axis, which means our x should be 0. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time plugging in 0 for x. So you're going to solve for y. So that gives me 8y equals negative 8. So y equals negative 1. This ordered pair is going to be 0, negative 1. Again, notice that I'm making sure to write these in xy ordered pairs. So I've put my point on my graph, and then you connect the 2 points. And this is going to be a rough sketch since I am doing this on an iPad instead of paper. Okay, so again, our x-intercept was negative 2, 0, and our y-intercept was 0, negative 1. So here we have a problem that said Mia had $22, then she started receiving $4 a week on an allowance. She plans to save all of her money for a bicycle and draws a graph of her planned savings. Let X represent the number of weeks that she has received her allowance and Y represent her total amount of money. And the question is, which of the following ordered pairs is on her graph? So you were given ordered pairs 122, 624, 244, and 542. The first thing you would have needed to do is figure out what this equation is. So we know that Y is representing her total amount of money, and X is representing the total number of weeks. So when you're looking at these ordered pairs, it would be weeks and then money. So I'm going to go ahead and write my equation. Y equals, she's getting $4 per week, and she started at $22, so plus 22. Now you would just need to plug in each of these ordered pairs and see where you get your true statements. So if I start with that first one, all you have to do is say 22 equals 4 times 1 plus 22. So we get that 22 equals 4 plus 22, and we know that's not true, so we're going to stop there. So it's definitely not the first choice. Then we're going to look at the next one. So 24 equals 4 times 6 plus 22. 24 equals, and we've got that 4 times 6, 24 plus 22. Well, that's not going to give us our 24. So it's not the second choice. 44 equals 4 times 2 plus 22. So we've got 8 plus 22. This is also not true. And then we need to check that last one. So we have 42 equals 4 times 5 plus 22. So 42 equals 20 plus 22. And 20 plus 22 is 42. So 42 equals 42. We have found our answer. Here we are given a problem where it says determine whether 3, 2, and 2, negative 1 are solutions to the equation. So just like in that previous slide where I'm checking those points, I'm going to do the same thing here. So I have the equation negative 3x plus y equals negative 7. And I'm going to check this 3, 2 first. So I'm going to plug in my 3 into x and 2 into y. So negative 3 times 3 plus 2 equals negative 7. So this gives me negative 9 plus 2 equals negative 7, and negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. So we do get a true statement here. And now we need to check our other points, so 2, negative 1. So we have negative 3 times 2 plus negative 1 equals negative 7. So negative 6 plus a negative 1 gives me negative 7, and that is true. Negative 7 equals negative 7. So both of the ordered pairs, 3, 2, and 2, negative 1, are solutions to our equation, negative 3x plus y equals negative 7. So here you can see the answers for the matched pairs, but I want to make sure that you understand why these are the answers. So we're talking about slopes. And if you look at this first one, y equals 0, so y equals 0. This is a horizontal line that is passing through 0, so it's actually the x-axis in this case. Anytime you have a horizontal line, your slope will always be 0. Think about horizontal has an O in it, the slope is 0. Now let's take a look at this next one. We have 9x plus 3y equals 18. And you can solve this equation for slope-intercept form, and then you'll see what your slope is. So that means you're solving for y. So I have 3y equals negative 9x plus 18. And then, of course, you have to divide by 3, and remember to divide everything by 3. So y equals negative 3x plus 6. And our slope is negative 3. Okay, I'm going to go back and just as a reminder, that slope-intercept is form is y equals mx plus b. So that m is your slope. We have here a line through negative 5, 7, and negative 5, negative 8. When you are given 2 points, you can use your slope formula that m equals the change in y over the change in x. And all that means is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're just taking the difference there. So you can say, well, m equals negative 8 minus 7 over negative 5 minus negative 5. And we have negative 8 minus 7 gives us a negative 15, and negative 5 minus negative 5 gives us 0. Anytime you have a 0 in the denominator, we say that is no, okay? Just so you can kind of see here, no, you cannot have 0 in the denominator, so it makes it undefined. This means that this is a vertical line, okay? So it would look something like a vertical line at negative 5. So somewhere over here, negative 5 would be my x there. So x equals negative 5. So vertical lines will always have a slope that is undefined. Horizontal lines will always have a slope that is 0. Let's do the same thing for that last one. You're going to use that slope-intercept form. You're going to use the slope formula because you're looking for through 2 points. So m equals 7 minus negative 1 over 8 minus 4. And 7 minus negative 1, if you can remember your addition rules, minus a negative makes it positive. So we actually have 7 plus 1 to give me 8, and 8 minus 4 gives me 4, and a slope of 2 as our final answer. So we just looked at slope by looking at points or the equations. So what about if you are given a graph? If you're given a graph, you can look at slope 2 ways. You can, of course, say, well, slope is the rise over run, and can I count it from my graph? Or you can take those ordered pairs that were given to you and plug it into that slope formula. Remember, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so if I wanted to count my rise and run here, then I can say my rise from this point up, it's 1, 2, 3 units, and my run is 1. And then you've got to think about, is this a positive slope or a negative slope? So is this line falling or is it rising? So we have negative slopes will be falling and positive slopes will be rising. So this is actually a slope of negative 3. You could also check that by doing your slope equation. So you could say, well, m equals 4 minus 1 over negative 3 minus negative 2. 4 minus 1 is 3, and negative 3 minus a negative 2. Remember, this comes together to be positive, so we really have negative 3 plus 2 gives me negative 1, and 3 over negative 1 is negative 3. We get the same answer either way. Here is another slope equation, or slope problem. We're trying to find the slope of a line that contains the points 7, negative 1, and 6, negative 4. Again, we're going to use that m equals the change in y over the change in x. So negative 4 minus negative 1 over 6 minus 7. Minus a negative is plus a positive, so negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3, and 6 minus 7 is negative 1. A negative over a negative is a positive, so we have a slope of 3. Again, going back to an undefined slope, you have to just remember about those horizontal and vertical lines. So if you get y equals a number and x equals a number. So I'm using k as constant here. I'm going to, here, just to make it a little bit easier, let's actually put a number sign. So this is what you're looking at. You would have something like y equals 2 or x equals negative 50. These are your special case lines. Remember, horizontal lines are going to be y equals a number, and vertical lines are going to be x equals a number. The slope for horizontal lines is always 0. The slope for vertical lines is always undefined. So which one of these cases is true here? It has to be this x equals 10. If you are given a problem where you need to find the coordinates of an x-intercept, remember that you have an xy ordered pair, and your x-intercept means that y is always going to be 0. So you just have to plug in y for 0. So 2x equals 6, x equals 3, and then of course write it as your ordered pair, 3, 0. And that's how you get your answer there. Here we have that Orlando brought a new couch for $1,968 using the furniture store's finance plan, and he will pay $164 a month for 12 months. Which equation can Orlando use to find out how much money he still owes after each month of the plan? The easiest thing to do here would be actually write your equation and then see which one matches up to it. So we know it's going to be what's left, and you can start with how much he purchased, so $19.68. And since he's going to be paying on it, we're going to be minus the $164 per month. This is not our traditional, y equals mx plus b, so you may have to also look and see if this was negative 164x plus 1968. But both of these equations mean the same thing. I'm going to give one more example of a type of problem you may have using point slope formula. So let's say I give you an equation where it says -4, -1, and -1, 5. And I ask you to find the equation of a line that has the points -4, -1, and -1, 5 passing, that it passes through those points. So the first thing that you have to know is what is your slope. So you're going to do 5 minus -1 over -1 minus -4. Again, remember those rules. Minus a negative means plus a positive. So we have 5 plus 1 is 6. And -1 plus 4 is 3. So we have a slope of 2. Now we need to figure out what the equation of the line is. So I'm going to use my point slope formula. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. You will be plugging in to y1, m, and x1. So you can just pick one of the points to use. I'm going to just go ahead and use this first point, and of course we're going to need that slope. So we have y minus -1 equals 2 times x minus -4. Go back and do those signs. So we have y plus 1 equals 2 times x plus 4. And you have to do that multiplication first. So we have y plus 1 equals 2x plus 8. And then you're going to need to subtract 1 and make sure you're keeping terms, like terms together. So now we have y equals 2x plus 7. This would be the equation of my line for a line that passes through -4, -1, and -1, 5. I'm going to go through one more like that one. So this time, let's just say it's passing through -3, 5, and 1, 7. So again, we first have to find our slope, and then we can figure out the equation of the line. So we're going to do 7 minus 5 over 1 minus -3. And we have 7 minus 5 is 2, and 1 plus 3 is 4, so we get a slope of 1/2 here. And then you're going to plug into that y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And this time I'm going to grab that second equation because it has positive values just to make it a little bit easier. So y minus 7 equals 1/2 times x minus 1. Of course, you've got to do that distributive property first. So y minus 7 equals 1/2 x minus 1/2. And then we're going to finish with addition. So add 7, and you're going to cancel out here, and that's going to leave you with a y equals 1/2 x, and then you can do in your calculator, if you would rather do that since you have a fraction, you can do -1/2 and using that ABC key to put your fraction in, plus 7, and you should get 6.5. But we don't write 6.5 for a fraction. We would need it as an improper fraction, so you'll just need to do that conversion and have plus 13 over 2. Okay, that also, since this is a terminating fraction, you could put 6.5, but because my slope is in a fraction form, I'm going to keep my y-intercept in a fraction form as well. This is not every type of problem that could be in this graphing unit, but I hope it's enough to help you and get you on the right path. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will be looking forward to hearing from you guys.